Thanks for joining everyone and welcome to the day 2 of the Data Cloud Bootcamp. I'm excited for this session. So we have Arvind who is going to continue the discussion on the solution overview, and we're going to look at the implementation use cases and the Data Cloud lifecycle. So before we get started, I just wanted to go over some of the basic things, the overview of the bootcamp. So this is for everyone who is starting to learn Data Cloud, and also for people who wants to gain in-depth knowledge of the Data Cloud. And this is mainly focused on the certification topics. So if somebody is preparing for the certification, so this is a good place to follow and be prepared for the certification. So this is the schedule for the bootcamp. In last session, we have covered the solution overview, which includes the Data Cloud overview. And today we are going to continue with the Data Cloud lifecycle and typical use cases. And here's the list of all the upcoming sessions. So these sessions all happen on Tuesday and Thursday every week. We have 10 more sessions lined up for the certification focused bootcamp. All these sessions happen at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So if you see the date as 1:18, if you are in a different time zone, let's say India, it will be 1:19, 7:30 a.m. So please convert the time based on this Eastern time. So according to your time zone, you may be on a different date. So next session is going to be on setup by Deepti Kamath. And this, as we have seen before, solution overview covers 18%. We may expect to get 11 or 12 questions on this section. And this bootcamp is followed by 2 other series. So the other one is the Data Cloud deep dive sessions. The deep dive sessions are scheduled after TDX, that is starting March 12th. So we have created the first few events on the event page, Webby page. You can find the sessions and register to those. And after the deep dive sessions, we have the Data Cloud workshop. And a few housekeeping rules. These sessions are all recorded. We will be sharing the recording and the slide deck at the earliest possible, so you don't need to worry. So we have all the information in place, so that can be shared with you. And here's the link. I will share this in the chat. So this is where you can find all the upcoming events, and make sure that you register to each of the events so you can find it on the calendar and easy to join. If you have any questions after the session, we do have a Ask Me Anything panel, which is planned on the 12th day of the bootcamp. So fill this form out. So we will answer the questions that are included in that form. Any other communication and collaboration that is related to this bootcamp, we are continuing that on the Slack channel, MC Learning Camp. If anybody wants the link to the Slack, let me know. I will post that in the chat. And today's session, Arvind, I'm so glad to have you, and thank you very much for coming and sharing your knowledge with us. This means a lot to us. Thank you very much, Arvind, and I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, JB, and thank you to all our trailblazers for joining us today. And let me start. First of all, thank you, for helping get this set up to get our ecosystem skilled up on Data Cloud. And I am trying to just share my screen to, okay. And I'm going to ask you to just let me know if you can see it okay.
You can see that, Arvind. It's
okay.
All good.
Perfect. Yeah. So hopefully some of you were able to catch the session 1 that Vlad and JB and Gilda and team kind of led. So today we'll be kind of talking about just expanding on that bit more and kind of talking about how does it work, what is the Data Cloud lifecycle, and what those typical use cases are. And as you get started, just a bit of background on me. So I'm part of the Salesforce team. I'm in our partner product success team as well. And for the last three years, I've been focused on Data Cloud through its different evolution, helping enable our broader ecosystem on all things Data Cloud. I've been in the Salesforce ecosystem for close to 15 years. Actually, it has been 15 years. I'm a proud All-Star Ranger, and I also have 28 Salesforce certifications. And I I know a lot of you come from the marketing cloud background, and that has always been very near and dear to me because that's how I came into Salesforce, was through the marketing cloud acquisition, through the what you may have known as the exact target marketing cloud world. But yeah, I'm excited to kick this off and to see a lot of you on here to kind of ramp up your learning and enablement to kind of get yourself skilled up on Data Cloud. Um, as you know, no Salesforce presentation would be complete without safe harbor slides. So just make all your implementations, investment decisions based on the capabilities that we have GA today. Um, so the agenda today is just kind of talking about how does it work, what is the data cloud lifecycle, what are the key capabilities, and kind of talk about some of the use cases as well as examples by industry. And then if we have time, get into some Q&A. Um, hopefully, like you guys have seen this slide before, and but not to kind of reiterate at a very high level. Data Cloud basically lets you, get data in from all different sources, be it any of the Salesforce clouds, any other hyperscalers, from your website, from any mobile app through our APIs, lets you, you know, bring the data in, do some transformation, connect it, harmonize it into a standard data model, and then you can unify it to get a single view of your customers or your accounts, and then you can activate it across the ecosystem. So we talk a lot about that, but let's sort of drill down into each of those layers, right? So when we talk about data systems and connect, what does it really mean? So basically we let you ingest data, right? So we basically, it can be batch data, streaming data, it can be, any of your data on your website, it can be through our SDK. So we have native connectivities to different connectors through all the Salesforce clouds like Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Commerce Cloud, Tableau, also all the hyperscalers like AWS, Google Cloud Storage, our Azure connector, as well as FTP connectors. And then on top of that, we also let you bring in, data from both your mobile apps, website that you have through our SDKs. We also have a very rich API through our ingestion API. And then we also have a MuleSoft connector where with clicks no code, you can plug into any other on-premise system, right? So you can bring data through different patterns through a batch manner, through a real-time manner, as well as through a streaming pattern. So basically it lets you bring data in a very easy way. And then once you bring that data in, Data Cloud itself offers some transformation capabilities through both our batch data transforms as well as streaming transforms. For those of you who may have worked with CRM analytics before, this may be a bit familiar because it was built on that same framework, our transformation, where basically we can process and transform. So it's almost a lightweight ETL type tool to to be able to transform data as the data is coming into Data Cloud. And then once the data comes in, I think this is the real power of Data Cloud. Like we use the word harmonize a lot, right? So we say we let you harmonize it into a standard data model, and you really need to peel back the layers on what that does that really mean. So basically Salesforce has a very highly opinionated, what we call as the customer 360 data model. It was, when it was initially created, it was with some other industry partners as well. So it's designed for the customer. It's a complete data model, with like different objects and relationships. And the key thing is, right, like as you may know, data, even from your own system, even look at within the Salesforce cloud, like in CRM, I'm called as a contact. In marketing cloud, I'm a subscriber in Commerce Cloud, I'm a profile. In your e-commerce system, I might be a call as a customer. So data comes in different shapes, different naming format with different fields. How do you bring all that in from across all these sources into a standardized data model? So no matter where it's coming from, you are able to quickly understand that they all mean the same thing. And that's what we mean by harmonization. So the customer 360 data model is what really covers this. And then with harmonization, where by again through drag and drop, from the left hand side to the right hand side, you can map from which of your source systems, your source objects to the actual data cloud data model objects do they represent. We also have for all the Salesforce cloud, we also have standard bundles. So if we have a sales cloud bundle, we have a marketing cloud bundle, we have a service cloud bundle, which basically lets you bring the data and does the mapping for you. So you don't have to sort of do from scratch, right? So we know as data is coming in, say, from contacts, leads, and opportunities, or in the case of marketing cloud, is data is coming in like from a subscriber data, your opens, your clicks, your event data, all that gets mapped. So we, provide you with those bundles. And once you get all that data in, we basically can unify it. And now, what does the word unify mean? So using a combination of prescriptive as well as fuzzy logic, where you can start to be like, all right, so this contact from my CRM and this subscriber from my marketing cloud instance, as the data is really the same person or the same individual. So using, again, we provide standard matching rules based on some fuzzy matching rules on first name, last name matching, address matching, email address, phone number, as well as party identification too. And in fact, now we not only match individuals, but you can also match on accounts as well. So more of your B2B type use cases. Um, Again, so basically, once you do all the matching, we create what's called as either a unified customer profile. It can be a unified individual if you're matching on individuals, or it can even be a unified account if it's an actual, account record. And again, so we call it unify, but in data cloud is really it's called as identity resolution. So it basically lets you resolve identities and reconcile that data. Again, we can use predictive, deterministic, some fuzzy, as well as normalized match rules. We also let you do data reconciliation rules as well. And really and that point, you have that single view of a customer where you can now start to act on and get value from the data, right? So we say activate, but then one of the things, let's talk about, even before you can activate, you can run some insights on them. So within Data Cloud itself, we basically let you get insights on your data, right? So that can be through either analytics, through our Tableau integration, through Marketing Cloud intelligence. You can also bring your own AI models as well. We now support through SageMaker as well as Google Vertex. And then we have also other types of insight. We have something called streaming insight. So as data is coming in from your website, your mobile data, you can create time series analytics for like fast moving or continuously streaming data to find patterns or to take action on them. And then you can pair that up with something called as data actions within data cloud to kind of drive further downstream action. Again, you can do this through our visual builder, and for our pro code people, like you can also write SQL as well. And then we have also something called calculated insights, which is maybe what we call is more like lets you build multi-dimensional metrics on your entire data that you have in data cloud, right? So you can build insights, things like give me my lifetime value or RFM modeling or doing some health scoring or some sort of scoring or some engagement score or trying to figure out your CSAT. And again, you can also do this with sort of clicks, no code, or you can do it through SQL as well. And now we get asked a lot on what's the difference between calculated insights and streaming insights, right? I mean, so here are some practical examples of how. So for your calculated insights, think of things like lifetime value calculations, RFM, which is recency, frequency, monetary value, or you want to calculate spend by customer and product, or maybe for your clickstream data, you want engagement based on different buckets. Like you want to do some ranking. So those are uses for calculated insights. The other is what we also call as uh, streaming insights. So what is again, streaming insights is really meant for as data is coming streaming in to be able to act on it and take action. So in the case of financial services, if you see some anomaly as business transactions or a banking transaction happening, you can send out a fraud alert, right? So Data Cloud supports that natively through our streaming insight framework. Or in the case of uh, service customer, like if they are coming to your troubleshooting page multiple times using as the data is coming streaming in from your website using the SDK, you can automatically create a case. Or even something like a location-based engagement where initiating a workflow if an end user is entering a geofence, and even sort of pushing the envelope a bit more further, like you can start doing like log scanning. Like you may have heard if you saw the Dreamforce keynote where we talked about Formula One or Ford, where they are sending us all of the telemetry data, like from their cars to data cloud to kind of create these smarter signals. Um, Now we talk a lot about activating your data, right? And I know, when I say one is activate, but really think of it, how do you get, like we talked about, well, you get data in, you transform them, model them, harmonize them, unify them. But the whole point is how are you going to drive and get value from that data, right? So again, as I mentioned, one of the use cases, the more common one in the past has been how do I do segmentation and activation? But before I even go there, right, there are different ways to get value from your data that's in data cloud. One is it can just be analytics or analyze and enhance it with insights, right? So in the case of our calculated insight, streaming insight, or Tableau, or even marketing cloud intelligence, or you can act on it from being able to segment on it. So finding high value segments and then activate them through your email channel, SMS channel, or through these different either marketing or ad channels. And now we have even very strong integration to the Salesforce platform or to the Salesforce customer 360. So for those who come from the CRM background, being able to use things like Flow, to being able to use things like data actions and all the things that you can do powerfully with Flow. Now you can also do that with the data that lives in Data Cloud as well uh, to orchestrate sort of powerful automations. Um, there's other ways that you don't sometimes is like even you can start to deliver predictions right now with Einstein Studio, as well as with what we call as BYOM, which is bring your own model. In this case, we support SageMaker and Google Vertex, where you can run any of your external machine learning models in there, and they can natively integrate to Data Cloud to kind of give you those predictions. And then last but not the least, a way to also get value from your data. Sometimes it doesn't have to be that data cloud is doing something. It can also be where an external system, in this case, say CRM, is consuming the data that's in data cloud. So think of a service agent. If all they want to see is, I want to see my unified for a customer, I want to see all the list of all unified cases and their sales transactions. Data Cloud can unify it, and then using Lightning Web components as well as through the Data Cloud API, you can access that rich unified data to your end users. So there are different ways to act on and get value from your data. Um, Again, this is a sort of giving you a visual representation, right? So when you have your unified data, either you can consume it, you can use data actions for your real-time events, or you can activate through batch segments, and then they can be data-driven, event-driven, file-driven, and here's a list of how, from the external side, like you can start to use it. And now actually what we just recently even launched was, any data cloud change events or anything that's coming in data could be now used as a condition for triggering through data actions and through the data cloud triggered flow as well. Um, so all is great, but one of the more common ways that data cloud through its evolution has been, it is one of Salesforce's fastest growing product. It's been there for 3+ years, has been like for the marketing use case for segmentation and activation, right? So think of clicks no code where you can create really rich segments, so across not just marketing data, but segment data from marketing, sales, service, commerce in a very visual interface. And then you can start to quickly get counts from your data, and then you can start to activate them through all your, through your marketing channels, right? So be it your ad networks as well as your digital channels. So in the case, we have a native integration to Marketing Cloud for SMS, email, and push as well. Um, and then this is the other thing I talked about is more of that data action framework where any data cloud object or data that's coming in through our MEB and mobile SDK, as well as any insight that you have streaming data, you can start to apply any action rules on them. You can enrich them, and then you can trigger a data action, which can be, sending them an email, sending them a Slack message, sending them a notification, and we can also send something called a platform event within Salesforce core CRM, which then opens up the entire Salesforce platform to be able to consume that platform event and take any action that you want from it. Okay, let's sort of let's look at some use cases for data cloud. And I'll say that um, this is one of my favorite authors, right? So all the system capability is great, but if you don't know Stephen Covey, like he wrote the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, one of those habits is begin with the end in mind. So really, as you're implementing, data cloud, or as I think of using, like what is the end use case that you're trying to solve for? Like why? So begin with the end in mind in terms of what is it like you want to do. One of the things that we have noticed is like your end users and your customers are not going to ask for a data cloud. So like unlike some other systems in Salesforce, like Marketing Cloud, which is a very defined category, saying like I want to send out email or SMS communication or high value journeys, or in the case of Commerce Cloud, where I want to create a website store. Data Cloud, right? So your end users or customer is not going to say like I need a data cloud, but here are some of those trigger words or the pain points that they may be feeling on why data cloud would be a good use, right? So if you hear things like, I want to increase my agent productivity by giving them quicker access to customer data, right? So so you're trying to increase productivity by quicker access to data, or our sales team is bogged down by back data and it's hurting their productivity, or I have multiple Salesforce orgs. I need a consolidated view across all this data, or I want to increase efficiency by using AI and automation, right, to improve my end users experience, or I want to get a single view of a customer, or for my sales team I want more intelligent insight. So as you can see, Data Cloud is not a standalone product. I mean, it is, but it works across the Salesforce ecosystem. So as you hear those trigger words or some of those pain points is when Data Cloud would be a good use in terms of how it could be used for the customer. Now let's sort of look at the Data Cloud lifecycle, or what we call as a day in the life of customer data. It's very similar to the earlier infographic that you saw, right? So you have all your data sources that's coming in. You can, connect them through the batch or streaming ingestion. You can do some transformations with the batch or streaming transforms. You harmonize them, and then you create that unified profile. You can then get insights on them. You can do some predictions on them, and then you can start to activate them through journeys, through flows, through Marketing Cloud, and other means, right, through these applications. Now, as we sort of look at that end-to-end spectrum, let's look at, like, let's look at some user personas and how Data Cloud might sort of solve. So in this case, say that you have 4 different user persona, from an IT person, from an IT to a marketer to a customer service or a guest service through an analyst, right? So uh, an an IT purview, it might be like, I want to break down my data silos. Like, I want to apply more automation, improve productivity. Marketer is concerned about acquisition. How do I deliver more personalized experiences? How do I increase my customers' lifetime value? How do I get more operational efficiency? Whereas a guest services rep or a customer service is concerned about, how do I improve the guest experience? How do I resolve cases faster? How do I provide proactive service? And then uh, business analyst and analysts might be more concerned about, looking at campaign performance, being able to analyze their segments, right? So, I mean, if I just look at so if I look at the left side of my Data Cloud lifecycle, right? In this case, Data Cloud can be used for data integration and unification. So Mark, who's the marketer, is interested in bringing all of the loyalty, email, web data in one single place, so they can use it for both segmentation and personalization, right? And again, Data Cloud does that very well, right? It's a very open and accessible data platform. It can improve your time to value with built-in connectors, so you don't have to build point-to-point integration. And then it is built on a Hyperforce hyperscaler platform, so it can ingest billions of profile and event data, right? So again, for something like data integration and unification, like, it's a great use case or a scenario. Um, and then same thing for marketing and personalization, right? It's like, in this case, marketer is like I want to launch a campaign for an 80% extra points for my loyalty members. I want to make sure that our highest value members know about it, right? Again, this is where Data Cloud can help, where it can deliver that one-to-one omni personalization at scale. Again, as you know, we are going into more and more of the uh, cookieless future. I think Google just announced that 1% of cookies they start blocking off. So I think, so the more the importance of your first party data gets very, critical for your CMO and the marketer to be able to deliver on the goals that they need, right? And then to do it in a very scalable, efficient way. And that's where Data Cloud sort of comes in as well, right? So now you can start to segment, analyze, and predict. You can start to activate them through all your applications, through your martech channels, as well as your ad networks as well. Um, and then as I even look at, insights and analytics, right, where in this case, right, where if Anna is trying to analyze all her customer profiles and really identify what initiatives or what programs they can run to generate the ROI, high ROI. I think this is where data cloud, where you can start once you get all the data in using either Tableau, CRM analytics, marketing cloud intelligence. But beyond that, you can also, through bring your own ML or AI models. We have a native JDBC driver that you can plug into any BI tool, and then you can even run your own ML models using Jupyter notebooks through the BYOM framework, right? So again, for the business user, you can give them, faster access to data. It makes it actionable. It sort of lets you work on your clean, harmonized, resolve customer data at scale, right? And it really is the time to value is how do I quickly derive insights from the all of my rich data I have in Data Cloud. And then last but not the least, let's look at sort of customer, Data Cloud for customer service, right? Where in this case, Gemma, who's the guest services agent, is concerned about when a prime price loyalty member comes in, I want to ensure that I can offer them personalized service and personalize their experience as much as possible right now. So opposed to in the past where data was living in silo in data cloud, being able to bring data across marketing, commerce, as well as service as well, you can start to get that insight, right? So you have this unified profile view or 360 view of customers where you can now start to action real-time data and really in a very scalable way. So those are just some user personas for what Data Cloud can solve for. Um, Now let's look at some industry use cases. Let's go ahead. All right. So let's look at like where has Data Cloud done well. So in like use cases for marketing, right? For your marketers, this is where we have seen where Data Cloud has driven a tremendous value across these four categories. So one is unification and harmonization, right? Where to be able to know your customer, go beyond just marketing data, enrich with external data, and really discover new segments, right? So Data Cloud can harmonize like 10 plus data sources in a very easy manner. And then you can start to basically, once you harmonize and unify them, to be able to, discover new segments, enrich that with other external data. So that's one category. Second is, insights and analytics, right? Where marketer now can test, learn, and optimize, improving your customers' lifetime value, where you're now able to segment more accurately and precisely, and also discover their channel of choice, right? So what we call this, like, this is how do you democratize your customer insights. And then segmentation and activation, where now the data you can activate across the entire customer journey, right? And really empowering that one-to-one personalization, being able to target and scale. And then last but not the least, also getting organizational efficiency, right? Where Data Cloud lets you consolidate markets, systems, and data. It's a one single tool, one single place for segmentation, lets you create that, gives you that one single view of your consumer and customer, right? And really, really one single place where all of your customer data can be brought in and harmonized. And really, Salesforce has been talking about the customer 360 for quite some time now. But the fact is, it is hard, right? It's hard to build this. I think with Data Cloud, it's finally even within the Salesforce clouds, how do you bring all that in to kind of give you that? So that's a good use case for marketing. Now, but then as we go beyond marketing, right? As I look at use cases for sales users, like some of the challenges are that, look, I'm struggling to get a very comprehensive business view. There is siloed data between marketing, sales, and other departments. I'm not able to efficiently upsell and cross sell. In terms of my lead management and identifying who my strong leads are, like I'm really struggling with that, right? And my sales teams are more reactive opposed to proactive. And really, my sales reps and my BDRs, SDRs, are struggling on who to prioritize, who to call, right? I think this is where, again, Data Cloud can come in, where you can unify this data with Data Cloud. So across all your transactional first party data, like your lead opportunity data, your sales activity data, your forecasting and pipeline data. And then you can even increase that by your third party data that you might have, like your purchase data, your any of the products and services that you may have, your web engagement data, right? And what the customer outcome is, or in this is like, how do you forecast across multiple orgs, right? So a single view of opportunities across all your products and orgs, opportunity scoring, so likelihood to buy, likelihood to close, being able to provide recommendation even to your sales reps on which leads to prioritize on, and really being able to unlock new areas for growth. So that's a good use case for sales in terms of how you would use Data Cloud. Um, Same thing as I look at use cases for service, right? So what data needs to be brought into Data Cloud. So you bring in all of your Salesforce data, your past purchase, your billing data, your network data, right? And then you can start to say what sort of insights I want to calculate. So what is the customer's likelihood to churn, right? So you can use your Salesforce data plus the billing data in combination to be able to uh, figure that, right? Likelihood of my devices failing or of my equipment failure, or even being able to know what is the usage and load patterns look like, right? And really, what does that sort of, translate to, right? Like, how can I then, if a customer is likely to churn, can I offer them some credit discount services? So you're proactively stopping a churn before it happens. If my equipment is about to fail, being able to inform your customer of outages or creating a case to your maintenance team so they can look at it. So basically, you are increasing your customer satisfaction and being able to deflect cases, right? And then, I mean, really, as I look at it, it's like what Data Cloud brings you is the richness across, and just to be able to provide proactive and better uh, customer service. Now, now let's look at some industry use cases, right? So we kind of talked about marketing, sales, and service, but now let's look at some industries. So, within financial services, right? Like, that if you're in the banking or even with a big, FinServe, like not all of your customers' interactions are with a single individual, right? So how can an employee um, engage their customers and make them feel known, right? So how can, we really being able to provide what we say as a true customer 360, right? So having a true 360 view of their customers across all lines of businesses, and then being able to orchestrate insights, right? So offering a diverse portfolio of products, coordinating outreach, right? So let's look at how does that translate in terms of sort of use cases, right? Like real Data Cloud, right? So in a core banking systems, if you see a significant deposit event happening, uh, action can be to kind of create a lead for a wealth advisor. Similarly, if the customer on your website or mobile has abandoned a mortgage application, like show that interest and engagement history in CRM. So as your sales rep or your individual banker is talking to them, they are able to proactively act on that. In the case of Marketing Cloud, if you're seeing higher click rates or engagement rates on your mortgage emails, then being able to put them on some sort of a nurtured campaigns. Um, Again, if I look at from a core banking side, if the customer is not using their credit card or the usage patterns are low, being able to sort of show the attrition risk as well as next best action to your banker to be able to proactively reach out to them and take action. And then if a customer has a loan with you, an auto loan or a home loan, and it's coming through its final installment, right? Show relevant content on your website to kind of urging them on to take that next action, right? So, and it's pretty common within our FinServ clients where they have different CRM or even different Salesforce orgs, right? To really being able to create that cross-selling opportunities across these different lines of businesses, right? So this is one way, or these are different ways on how Data Cloud can enable some use cases within the FinServ sector as well. Other is like I would say even uh, with healthcare and life sciences, right? Where leveraging. So in fact, for those who may have worked with Health Cloud, Health Cloud creates something called the Unified Audit Health Score, and that is being powered by Data Cloud, right? It's where we leverage the data to kind of create a very comprehensive score of a patient's overall health and score, right? Where this gives you that patient insight into their behaviors, medication, health history, giving them a scorecard, providing to the practitioner or to the health specialist or the doctor what should be the next best action, right? And then having the patient itself through a personalized patient journey, right? Which lets you do things like um, allows you like early health risk direction, care plan optimizations, patient, just communication. Again, as I look, how can Data Cloud enable some of these use cases, right? So in your electronic health record system, if a new patient record is created, create a new lead, which will let the provider to provide that personalized care, or if if there's a new trial enrollment, uh, trigger a notification to the appropriate healthcare provider. If you are monitoring data from your medical devices, right? If you detect a device malfunction in quasi real time, create a service ticket to your technician to address the issue. So basically, data now no longer lives in siloed in different systems, waiting for some batch feed to happen at some point and which point, right? But this all lives in a single place, which really lets you orchestrate and drive these powerful action. Similarly, if you have a prescription management system, right, you see a refill request, then to be being able to update the patient's profile as well as notifying the provider of the refill request. And you can also monitor any of the health monitoring, and then if you see some abnormal signs, you can trigger an alert notifying the provider of those abnormal signs. So these are just some ways in which again Data Cloud can enable those use cases within the healthcare and life sciences field as well. And then I'm going to look at one more industry to just kind of open your mind. Like you may know a lot about Data Cloud, what's done it for the marketing world. So when we talk about marketing, sales, service, financial services, healthcare, let's look at one more, which is manufacturing, right? Where we're doing things like channel leads and direct selling to build partner loyalty and brand awareness, proactive maintenance and cross business unit forecasting and sales operations, right? So when I talk about that, what does that mean, right? So let's look at some again, right? If on your website a new customer has come to your website, you can put them on a personalized journey, being able to, if a customer is placing a very large order, in your third-party system, then, you can analyze even the bottlenecks in your production line to analyze your supply chain data. Again, if they are coming to your website or some specific pages to your frequently ordered product, that can be a trigger to kind of predict future customer behavior and to improve the customer service. And then last but not the least, like if you're collecting data from IoT devices, and you see a drop or a change in your forklifts pressure, right? That can automatically sort of populate the shopping cart with the replacement part, as well as schedule like a work order as well. Again, this is just to kind of open your eyes in terms of how it can be used um, across these areas, right? And that's why we say, like, when a customer is looking at data cloud, they're not out there saying that I need a data cloud. It's like when you hear things like they are having efficiency issues or they're having some pain points, I think that is when you as sort of, helping them through the journey to kind of how do we use data cloud to maximize value from it. Um, Now I'll say this, right? One of the things to say, like we talked a lot today about all these different things, like where, we ingest, we transform, harmonize, unify all these use cases across different industries. And sometimes it can be a lot to sort of take and process, right? But I would say as you just take a step back, right, I would say analyzing a customer's use case sort of comes from answering, broad base sort of three questions on how they can use data cloud, right? Like one is what data needs to be brought into data cloud? How does the data need to be harmonized and unified, as well as what insights do I need to discover with the data? And then last but not the least, what actions do I need to take and why? So I think if you always keep those are the three guiding posts, it'll sort of help you in terms of how do you implement it, how do I use it to kind of drive value, be it like for your customer or in your own internal use as well. All right, I did leave some time for so many questions. I have not monitored the chat, but JB, if you see any questions coming through, let me know. I'm happy to answer them.
Yes, Arvind, and thank you for the informational packed session. This covers a lot of things that everyone needs to know when we start implementing data cloud or when we start thinking about implementing data cloud. This is so informational, Arvind. Thank you very much.
Sure
I
thing.
think we have covered some of the questions. So the last question that I see here in the chat is, how can Salesforce Data Cloud help solve performance tracking challenges in an organization that depends on data?
Performance tracking. I just want to, understand, like we need to unpack that in terms of what that means. So again, like the core value of data cloud is being able to get data from across any of your customer data across all these sources and then harmonize them and into a standard data model. And then, I think that's the real power. And then you can start to unify it and take action. So I think when data lives in different places and in different, like I think what we hear is, a typical enterprise has 1,000 different applications. I mean, that's just the truth of it, right? So data lives in different places and you have very siloed data and not having. So I think what data cloud really helps it is that bringing it in a very easy manner through these connectors, being able to harmonize them, unify them, and then you can start to act on them. So I think that's the real power of data cloud, right? Now I would need to understand what you mean by performance tracking, like if your data audit or your data is not right. But I think those are some of the ways in terms of how data cloud can help. Like I see a question here from about what does harmonize mean? Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Like I think we talk a lot about this, and in fact, it's also a key thing that you need to know in your implementation, as well as you take that certification as well. Basically, harmonization within data cloud is the process and how you can bring data across these different sources and basically map them to a standard customer 360 data model, right? So, for example, in data cloud, like an individual object, like it's called an individual. So, for example, in CRM, it's called as a contact. In marketing cloud, it's a subscriber, but if your subscriber data is in a data extension, it could be called a customer table. In e-commerce, in my commerce cloud, is called a profile. If you have e-commerce systems, it could be called, my order information on my customer master table, right? So you have all these data coming in from different harmonization is the process where we say within data cloud that they really represent the same thing, and as well as the different individual fields as well, right? So it can be first name, first underscore name, F name, and then we map them all into a standard data model object as well as standard fields. That's what in data cloud defines, or what we call as harmonization.
Thanks, Arvind. Can you throw some light on the B2B accounts unification? Also, there was a question earlier on how accounts can be unified in the data cloud.
Yeah, so B2B account unification, yeah. So just like you have individual unification match rules, we have account unification that went GA sometime, I want to say last year. So you can match on account name and address, as well as as well as you can use, say, if you have like a dunce number, which in the US is a very common way to kind of identify. So just like if you have seen data cloud, how we create a unified individual, you can also create a unified account by applying an identity resolution rule set and be like unify accounts based on this matched rule.
And there are some questions around how data cloud is different than Audience Studio or the Tableau.
Sure. I think we will cover some of this in the later sessions as well. But um, Data Studio was the Audience Studio was really, was came through the Salesforce, Crux acquisition, called as DMP, then Data Management Platform. So Data Cloud, uh, it basically lets you now activate through the ad part, through our ad network as well. From my understanding, we are not selling Data Studio, right now. Like it's not being. I think for customers who have it, they still have it, but I think it is going end of life, at some point. And then there's a question on sort of Tableau. So like I would say Tableau is really an analytics, like it's a great, like it's our, in fact, Data Cloud has a very native integration to Tableau where we use something called the Hyper uh, query engine within Tableau to be able, so Tableau is the analytics. In fact, a lot of our customers use Tableau with Data Cloud, right? So I think Data Cloud from a harmonization unification sort of gives you all that, and Tableau is sort of that analytics framework or analytics tool that you can run on top of Data Cloud to be able to quickly and easily visualize your data and to apply analytics on top of it. There's a question here on is Data Cloud data warehouse or ETL tool. So I would say it's more not quite, like I would say it has some ETL capabilities, but it's not meant to be used as an ETL tool. It's more what I would say is a data lake. So it's a hyperscale data lake platform which can cover the entire Salesforce Customer 360.
I see another question, Arvind. Where is the maximum uptake seen or projected or data cloud across Salesforce clouds?
Yeah, so I would say Data Cloud got its start within the marketing world, what you may have known as our customer data platform, or CDP, so that's why guys, so that's where we in the initial, which is about 3 years ago, where we had bulk customers. But I think as we launched and it evolved into data cloud, like I think just and the more stronger integration we are building on top of Salesforce itself, the core CRM platform. So like I would say across sales, cloud, service, but also like I would say even across the different industries that I mentioned, right? Like across financial services, manufacturing. So we think data cloud is sort of spans this entire, and that's why we say like data cloud is not a standalone siloed product. It covers the entire Salesforce 360. So like almost every Salesforce client is, and especially I would also say one more thing that I didn't talk a lot about is like AI, right? So you may have heard of things like Einstein 1 that's, going pilot next month, that was talked about at Dreamforce. Data cloud is going to be the key pillar. Like your AI strategy is only as good as your data strategy, and data cloud is, basically if you are looking to adopt some of the AI capabilities within Salesforce, you would need data cloud and tandem to be able to collect that rich data, to be able to use things like Einstein Prompt Studio, Einstein Studio to kind of, further drive your AI journey.
So the other question that I see is, how many Salesforce customers or clients are currently using Data Cloud?
You know what, I do not, or it's not something we like. I would say, Salesforce itself has, in the hundred thousands customers. Data Cloud, I would say this because it's even talked about in our earnings call with our CEO, like Mark Benioff. It is our fastest growing product that was built organically at Salesforce. Like we don't release actual numbers itself into how many customers, but I would say it's in the thousands, and it's our fastest growing product.
And can we connect Data Cloud to a public database?
Public database, as in, so we have a set of pre-built connectors. If like I would love to know which database. We have a set of pre-built connectors. If you don't have a connector using our MuleSoft connector, you can plug into any other, MuleSoft through clicks no code, will basically can plug into that.
It's a great answer, Arvind. I don't see any other questions. So we are at time. So I see a generic question: is the knowledge of AI Einstein necessary to use Data Cloud? I don't think so.
Like I would say it's almost like I would say no, it's not necessary, but it would be the reverse. Like if you know Data Cloud, it'll make it easier for you to use the AI features and capabilities as they get launched. So as you think about Einstein GPT and some of the Einstein Prompt Studio and the Prompt Builder, right? A lot of that data will be coming from Data Cloud.
Awesome. I think those are all the questions, Arvind. I really, really thank you for your time and sharing your
Awesome.
knowledge. This
Yeah.
is so helpful.
Awesome. Well, I just want to say thank you to all. I want to wish this group all the best as you kind of, are, embarking on your data cloud journey. And I think JB and team have put a great framework together. So partake in those learnings, and then, help each other out. There's a great Slack group I saw, with the MC Learning Camp and the Data Cloud Bootcamp. So help each other. There are more sessions happening, in this entire like 12-week sort of frame, or this 12-session framework. I'll be back, I think, in a few more weeks' time to talk about a few more topics. And I think we're also doing at the end an Ask Us Anything session as well. So we look forward to seeing you there too. Okay? Bye.
Wonderful. Thank you, Arvind. And thanks everyone for joining. So we will share the slide deck and the recording at the earliest possible. So if you follow the YouTube channel at the rate NC Learning Camp, the recording will be available at the earliest possible. And on the recording description, you would see the link to the slide deck as well. So you don't need to go anywhere. Just look at the YouTube channel, the video and the description. So you will get all the information on there. Thank you once again. And we hope to see you in the next session, which is on setup next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Have a good one. Take care.